When I started making my videos, people used to complain in the comments that they wanted evidence and proof of my claims. I had friends offline would say, "Where's the evidence, SUNDJATA? Where's the evidence? Where's the proof that backs up your claims?" I never provided them with proof or evidence for two main reasons. The first primary reason is that these videos are for you to be able to reason out what I'm saying, for you to engage your brain and reason. The second reason why I don't provide evidence in these videos is they'll be very long, and they're already too long. And there's a third reason, which I'll get into in this video, about the idea of knowledge, or the idea of scholarship. You see, what they're actually saying is they've been trained under white power. And under white power can only determine something if there is proof or if there is evidence. But that's not the only way to understand knowledge or to grasp knowledge. This is their way. This is the way of the European. It's not the way of Asia. It's not the way of Africa. It's their way. And our people have been conditioned to ask for proof and evidence, or put it another way, to be the parrots of white power. You parrot white power's claims. No. Let's use reason before we seek evidence. Let's use reason. W.E.B. Du Bois was the first African American to get a PhD from Harvard in 1895. We are now in 2020, December 2020. We are talking 125 years ago. This is the time frame that we're going to be looking at. You're going to have to engage your brain if you're going to get anything out of this video. The video is not complicated, but you're going to have to engage your brain. Okay, so let's go. Umar Johnson has got a degree, or a PhD rather, in child psychology. And I mention his name because a lot of people will know who he is. So it's not about him, it's just you'll know who he is. So he's an example of a brother with a PhD. So if you take Du Bois from 1895 to Umar Johnson in 2020, and if you take that span of time, 125 years, and then you ask yourself this question: has the condition of African people on planet Earth changed markedly as a result of a fraction of our community receiving PhDs? If the answer is no, then we have a problem. Now, if the answer is yes, then you can do what white power keeps telling people to do, which is show the evidence, show the proof. But I'm not going to bother with that because we know that's nonsense. We can reason this out for ourselves. Western higher learning comes out of the church, the European church. It comes out of Christianity. All these ideas, these scholastic ideas around proof and evidence, empiricism, all these things come out of European culture. And what the Europeans have been able to do, they've been able to indoctrinate our community into respecting their method of research, their understanding of knowledge. So you have Africans who might look like me, but on the inside, they're just white people. And this is the problem we're facing. We cannot get to the truth because we have gatekeepers who have been trained in Christian culture, in European, Roman, Greek, Judaic, Christian culture. And that's what they present to you. So when you see a brother or sister with a PhD, they're walking to you as a white man or white woman, just in dark skin. And just an aside, because you see a lot now in our community, people pushing these conspiracy theories. And when you dig in deep into the conspiracy theories, you find that the overwhelming majority of conspiracy theories that are circulating in our community come from white, racist evangelicals. They're the ones that are pumping this stuff out. And again, our community grab hold of these conspiracy theories and they make them their own. So on the one hand, you have our people following Christianity in terms of scholarship. And then you have another group of our people who you might call the activists or the black activists or the radicals, who are also following white Christianity in terms of conspiracy theories. This is how we've ended up in a mess, really. Also, you often hear candidates from our community, PhD candidates from our community, complaining that they can't do the research that they want to do, or they can't go down a line of inquiry because maybe it'll help our community, but their PhD supervisor doesn't want them to do that. And we are constantly forced down a narrow road. I don't know if I can describe it with my hands, but we're forced down kind of like a narrow tube. Instead of opening up research and then researching things into what affects our community, we have PhDs now who are basically rendered useless. You see, the PhDs for our liberation, the liberation of African people on planet Earth, PhD holders are socially useless. Do you see? Now, I know what you're saying. You're saying, what has this got to do with white supremacy versus white power? And I'm going to tell you straight up, I'm going to tell you it's got a lot to do with it. Because we are constantly sent down narrow alleys which lead to nowhere. You drive down a narrow alley and then there's a brick wall. And white supremacy, the research around white supremacy, the notion of white supremacy is a brick wall. And we've been sent down there by PhD candidates. Doctor this, doctor that. We've been sent down there. So we have to come back. You see, this is why PhDs and talking about PhDs is important, because they've sent us down the wrong alley. I'm SUNDJATA, and I'm developing a Warrior for Power to be the #1 organization within our community around the world. Initially, I'm calling on brothers around the world to come forward and join Warrior for Power. Our objective, our mission is to bring about the total, radical transformation of the lives of African people on planet Earth. If you want to be involved in this amazing initiative, then all you have to do is join Warrior for Power on Patreon, or you subscribe to YouTube channel below, and then we can take it from there. This channel that you're watching, Warrior for Power, is dedicated to the political economy of the transformation of our lives on planet Earth. We have a sister channel dedicated to helping you set up your first business and to run a successful business in your local area. If you're interested in moving yourself forward, then subscribe both to Warrior for Power and The Rational Mammal. Also, turn on the notification bell so you receive our latest video uploads. Okay, let's get on with the video. Now, don't get it twisted. This video is not an attack on people with PhDs. What I'm saying is that PhDs are not sufficient for us to free ourselves. Because if they were sufficient, we have had 125 years to get free. In other words, we have had an experiment for 125 years for people acquiring PhDs, and we're still not free. So PhDs are not sufficient. We need something else. If we don't change, we're going to spend another 125 years not moving the dial. We are going to be effectively in the same position as we are today. So we need radical change. These videos are about us collectively using reason to bring about radical change. We are going to reason together to find solutions based on reason. You see, the Encyclopedia Britannica states that white supremacy is a belief or idea purporting the natural superiority of light-skinned people or the white races over other racial groups. Now, please don't tell me, don't write in the comments that race is a social construct. We know that. But we live in the real world where race is very much a factor in people's lives. So we have to go with what we experience in the real world. Do you see? Have you ever asked yourself, what has it got to do with you if someone claims white supremacy? What has it got to do with you? They can claim what they like. I can claim I'm from Mars, but what has it got to do with you? You see, Malcolm X said, and I'm paraphrasing, he says someone can be racist if they like, but racism only affects him if the person acts on their racism towards him. Do you see? So white supremacy is a feeling or belief. That's all. Let me give you an example to illustrate the point. When the young brother, Arbery, when he was out running, two racists tracked him down and shot him. I think they were father and son. People then came out and said, oh, this is an example of white supremacy. Really? Let's back up and let's look at that situation again. A young man is out running, and a father and son are in their truck and they're driving towards him. They jump out, an altercation takes place, and they shoot him dead. He wasn't a victim of white supremacy. He was a victim of white power, because they had the power to end his life. Do you see? White supremacy is just flags and emotion and feeling. But when white power is deployed, it's lethal. This is the difference. If the father and son that killed Arbery get off with his murder or are given a light sentence, then it will not be white supremacy that has done that for them. No, it will be the working of white power, from the judiciary to the lawmakers, to the police officers, to the prison wardens, to the lawyers, to the media. It will be as a result of white power, not white supremacy. What the PhDs have managed to do over 125 years and counting is that they've managed to put our community into a walled garden, a garden surrounded by walls. And we are struggling within the walled garden to find a way out, to find the key to unlock this walled garden. Francis Cress-Welsing, PhD, made a massive contribution to the research into white supremacy. And her argument is that the European or the white man faces genetic annihilation. And as a result, white supremacy is what has been manifested to protect themselves. But can that be right? We have to respect our ancestors. You did some great work. So let's take a minute. Okay, can it be right that she states that because of genetic annihilation, white people have invented white supremacy? So here I need you to think a little. If the problem facing the European is genetic annihilation, then surely the elite that run these white societies have enough grip over them to get their populations to do as they command. So they could have a campaign globally to get more white people to have more children. They could do that. They control the media, they command culture, they command the army, the police, the judiciary. They control the money. They can get people to have more children, instead of going out and subjugating other non-white people. They could do that. So if we reason then that if their problem is genetic annihilation, the immediate solution is to have more children. This is what they're doing in France and in 4 or 5 other countries in Europe. The government is paying essentially white women to have more white babies. That's what's going on. And France has one of the highest birth rates in Europe. I'm not going to say check that out yourself because, you know, just take it from me. If that is the problem, there's a ready solution. So the subjugation of our lives cannot be as a result of white supremacy. Do you see? When the Americans sent soldiers to capture and take out of Haiti by force Aristide, that was an example of white power. It was not an example of white supremacy, because they had the power to enact the policy that they wanted to push forward in Haiti. And Haiti has been held in the grip of America ever since the 19th century as a result of white power. It's not a result of white supremacy. And this needs to be understood or overstood, or we're not going to move forward. Now, at this point, you might be saying, what does it matter if we label it white supremacy or white power? It's all the same. Why split hairs? Our scholars have done the work. They claim it to be white supremacy. Well, here's why it's important. If you say it's white supremacy, many white people can say, well, I'm not a white supremacist. It's got nothing to do with me. I'm not a member of the Proud Boys or the Boogaloo Boys or supporter of Donald Trump. You see, they can opt out, or they're given a pass, a free pass, by the same PhDs. You see what's going on? Whereas if you understand that the whole system is a system of white power, then they're included in that system, and it's for them to dismantle it or maintain it. Now, my argument is that they will choose to maintain it. So our option is to opt out of it. Or there's another option, which is what the PhDs are basically telling you, which is this is as good as it gets. So you might as well remain under white power, under white domination, and try and change things at the margin. What you might call reform. Reform things at the margin. You might say, what does that look like? Well, stop putting your knee on my neck in terms of George Floyd murder, but you can still shoot me in the back if I run away. That's the type of reform that people are forcing you to take on board. And you have to ask yourself, is that sufficient? And I would argue, no, it is not sufficient. So to be clear, white supremacy versus white power. To be clear, on this hand, white supremacy is a reformist option. It allows you to reform the situation that you're living under. On this hand, white power is a revolutionary situation where you have to either say yes to living under white power, or you have to say no, you want to end white power. This is the situation. So let me make this clear. This is what's going on. So in our community, we have a group of people led by the PhDs pushing this side of the argument, white supremacy. And I'm saying we need a new group of people pushing this side of the argument, white power. And this is what Warrior for Power is doing. We're revealing or uncovering or peeling back the layers of a lie that's been perpetrated for a very long time. We are dealing with white power. Okay, so here's a question for you to answer. Why do white people feel extremely comfortable calling other white people white supremacists? Leave your answer in the comments. I'll read all the comments and I'll reply to some of the best answers. Okay, that's it. I'm SUNDJATA. You've been watching Warrior for Power. Don't forget to subscribe, share these videos. We've got to beat the system that's preventing these type of videos from getting out. So share the video with as many people as you can. And remember, we are the media. So if you share and you promote these videos, we can beat the system. Okay, so that's me finished. Peace out.